show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, that was fun. That worked. That seemed to have worked. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk of the League podcast on the Balls Out podcast. I am your host, Nathan. Been a little while. That went all right. I think that went pretty well.
Yeah.
Playing around with the sound effects a little bit, everyone.
Yeah, you're fucking with too many buttons, mate. But we're getting there.
I thought it would be worth a try. How are we all doing, everyone? We've got Mark with us, we've got Naomi, we've got Sean, and we've got Big Stu himself. Good evening, guys. How are we all doing?
Good, thank you, mate.
Doing good. Great to see you guys again.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Right, we're going to talk a little bit on Man City's form at the minute. We're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea and how they're somehow absolutely smashing it, and everyone seems to claim that they're not in the title race, but quite clearly they are. I'm also going to get everyone's opinions on unsackable Premier League managers in a minute. There seems to be a lot of managers that are either starting out new or are under a little bit of pressure, but don't seem to be under a little pressure, if you get what I mean. So we're going to have a little play around with that. But let's start with Man City. Obviously, their form in the past, 9 games now. They've only won once midweek. They were poor again this week in Europe. I'll come straight to you, Stu, actually, mate, if you don't mind. I'm going to come straight to you.
Go on.
What do you think is happening with Man City in a minute? Because obviously we all anticipated this was just going to be another year of Pep Guardiola dominance, and it just seems to have just fallen off a cliff. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's quite pleasing, isn't it, to see that the so-called Messiah is having issues. But interestingly enough, he is having problems because he doesn't know what to do with this particular group of players. You have to bear in mind that Guardiola is used to a certain calibre of player at his disposal, wherever he's been, whether it's been Barcelona, Bayern Munich, etc. He's this calibre of player that he's able to mould and kind of meld into what he wants. A kind of system that he likes to play, and a group of players that actually buy into what he wants and buy into actually the love of playing football. But he's lost players that he's relied on heavily in the past. Rodri, he's only just bought De Bruyne back. Gundogan left and he's kind of come back. David Silva's gone, didn't really replace him. They replaced him with Nunes. Bernardo Silva's not at the races. Believe it or not, Haaland is showing his deficiencies as a footballer, not a goal scorer, but as a footballer. And we've spoken many times of his out the box inability to be able to play the game and read the game. Superb inside the box, but outside the box, he's cumbersome, and they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to play football. Nunes has not been, Diaz has been out for a few games. John Stones has been out for a few games. And he can't adapt. You know, Guardiola himself, he can't adapt. I think he said last night, didn't he, that he's taken a look at himself now. But I've always said this, the players have got to look at themselves. But the calibre of play that he's having to play at this point in time isn't what he's used to. And whether people think Guardiola's the Messiah or not, there's always been question marks around him as how he would handle either a dip, if that's what you want to call it, or a group of substandard footballers compared to, you know, the Iniestas, the Xavis of this world, the Busquets of this world, you know. And it's proven that perhaps he's not as great as he thinks he is, or everybody thinks he is. The flip side of that coin, Nath, is you know my thoughts on managers and player combinations. And I always think the players are culpable first, the manager's culpable second. And I'll stand by that. Everybody says to me it's the manager. But if you take Manchester United's performance tonight, and if you went into a coma while Eric Ten Hag was at the helm, and you woke from your coma and you saw tonight's performance, There's absolutely fuck all difference between the attitude of the players under Ten Hag and currently under Amorim. So you've got to find that distinction, and I think this is the problem that Guardiola himself's happening. And I think the world of football and fans in general are taking huge delight in what's happening at City. But on this occasion, I'm not necessarily sure it's the players not trying, whereas we've had that issue at Manchester United. I just think it's the players aren't capable, or Guardiola's not used to, as I say, this type of player. Nunes, for example, superb at Wolves, but just he can't cut it in a City jersey. Ake, it took him 3 seasons to get somewhere, with it within City. I know they've been missing Foden, but Foden hasn't played particularly well this year. It's massively interesting to see Guardiola sweat, and I do quite like it.
Yeah, it is great for us as United fans and as Chelsea fans. It is quite great to watch.
It's the best.
It's the great thing about it.
Stay humble, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since that statement, it's been absolutely brilliant to watch. I'll come to you, Sean, if that's all right, mate. Obviously, we've seen with Rodri getting injured, and they've had a few injuries here and there. It seems difficult to understand. Oh, I was going to ask Sean, but he's
I think he's having
problems, isn't he?
Maybe Naomi. Naomi.
I'll ask you, Naomi. Yeah, absolutely. With the sort of injury issues they've had, and with Rodri, obviously he was a Ballon d'Or winner this year. He won the Euros with Spain. It's quite difficult to put it all down to injuries. But do you think, is it just injuries? Obviously, what Stu just said, is it mainly injuries, do you think? Or is it just a case of it is just an aging squad and there's just not really been that much investment in that sense?
Yeah, I really can't help but think about the conversation from last season, which the fans were having. And that was that, like, while Man City seemed like a strong team at the time, it seemed like even missing one key player could really put their game down the drain. And I think we're seeing that manifest. We're just seeing it a little bit sooner than we expected because they had such a good run during the last season. And I do think injuries definitely play into it, but overall with their litigations going on, all of that stuff kind of adds up on you. And I just feel like they never had the structure that they thought they had. I don't think they were ever the best team. So whenever small things go wrong or they have injuries here and there, you see a major breakdown. And I don't think anyone expected them to come down so hard so fast. So I think that's the little bit of the surprise factor that's catching us there.
Yeah, brilliant. J Dog in there made an absolutely great point there, Mark, actually, about obviously Pep Guardiola came in with this, what everyone sort of thought to be a revolutionary way of playing football, playing out from the back with the sweeper keepers and all that rubbish. Is it just a case now that the players have started to adapt, like Jay says there? Is it just a case of players and managers are starting to adapt to the way how they play and just sort of counteracting against it?
Yeah, I think Stu and Naomi both make great points. I think that's absolutely right. I think City, whilst they've been absolutely dominant and nobody has able to come up against them, I think that they've only really played one style, and it very much relies on the kind of wing backs and the number 6. And of course, Rodri being out, it's made them very vulnerable. And I think a lot of teams are kind of now able to adapt to that and apply the pressure in the necessary areas. So I think that's all that has happened. And Pep has done a fantastic job. I think we have to remember he is a very good manager. I think you have to remember he has also been given a lot of money in order to get the players that he wants in. But I think fundamentally, if you look back at it, and again, it's easy for us to say because of the last sort of 10 or so games, does he have a particular plan B? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he has. I think with the plan A, it's so good. And so high pressing, lots of passes, lots of triangles, lots of this, that and the other. It's very hard to play against. But I think that now he's lost his main man in Rodri, and the teams have obviously been able to adapt to that. I just think that's all that's happened. I think they'll It's listen, we got them this weekend, and it's a tough one, isn't it? And it's sod's law that we'll come up against them and perhaps lose 3 points. I think it's quite possible, and I think City will turn it around. But I think there's just so much kind of disruption there at the moment because this is not what they're used to. They've been very much winning, 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 and how do they actually work out how to lose? And I think that's the big problem at this point.
But
Yeah,
in saying that, Mark, the best managers, so-called,
Yeah,
best players, they work out a way to win.
yeah, I agree.
You grind, you scrap. I mean, J-Dog makes a great point, but fuck me, they were doing that in the 70s, Nath. They've been playing out from the back since the 70s. White football boots, they've been around since the 70s. Nothing's new in football. Zero is new in football. And I talk about this a lot. Mark's bored now. Mark will go to sleep and he can recite everything I want to say because he knows. I just don't buy into modernism in football. It doesn't do it for me. There's only so much you can do on a football pitch. You've got 11v11, 2 goals. There's only so much space you can create on a football pitch.
Yeah.
It's nothing revolutionary that Guardiola's done. He's just used a caliber of player to be able to do what he wants. And he's used, actually more importantly, if you look back at at our team in the late 90s or early to mid 90s, mid to late 90s, 2000s, we had the caliber player, but we had a fucking hunger and a desire way above any other team. We would run harder, we would fight harder, we would chase, we would harass, and we would win that ball back. There's a 6-roll pass in football or a 6-second pass, depending on how you look at it, and that's win. If you lose the ball, bang, get it back, 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 and then do something with it. City are masters of doing that, and now they're not. So you don't just not understand football; it's a caliber of player that he can't influence. And that's a big thing for a manager. You've got to be able to influence a player, and he can't influence certain players because they're not exactly where he needs them to be. Now, you could argue he signed these players, or he's allowed Rico Lewis to come through, etc. And yes, you could argue that missing Rodri is going to be, a problem. It would be a problem for any team. I mean, I hate the fucker Rodri because he's that good, and it would be a problem for every team. But the Messiah that is, Guardiola should be able to deal with that. Ferguson had all sorts of issues throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, and he adapted and he made sure that the player was stepping in was equal in terms of spirit, attitude, aptitude, and a will to win. And you just don't have that with City. I want to see Guardiola. I want to see what he's made of. People are saying, "Well, I haven't had this for years, etc., etc., etc." Well, let's see what you're made of, pal. Now's the chance. You want to be on the top of the parapet. Now's your chance to do it. Look where Mourinho is now because he hasn't got that caliber of player. It's no coincidence.
No, it's definitely not. Sean, I want to bring you in now, mate. If your internet connection is going to stick with us, going on the back of what Stu was saying there. Obviously, if everyone's saying that Guardiola is this messiah of football, and he has all the answers to everything, as the title of the channel, the title of the show, is Pep's job under threat? Because let's be honest, as much as he's done great things for football and great things in the Premier League and won all these trophies, is there not an element of, are the City owners going to get a little bit bored and a little bit fed up if he just continues this sort of lackluster form? Or do you think sort of Guardiola's just sort of this free pass to do whatever he likes?
In terms of mid-season, I think he has that free pass. I think he's earned enough credit in the bank to keep his job. Where I do think trouble could start if it keeps going the way it's going is in the summer. Not necessarily him being sacked, but like Mourinho, I think Pep is he's a really outspoken guy. I think he wouldn't hold back as well. Going back and forth between the owners, so I just think it could bring up issues between both in the summer if things aren't going well, and if the court case is still looming over, because I don't expect that to be sorted either way come the summer. So that should still be there, I think. But yeah, I think that could cause trouble between both parties. In terms of what's going wrong, I just think it's the first time in years where I've seen a City side under Pep be kind of one-dimensional. I think they focus too much on Haaland, and they expect too much of the Haaland now. In previous years, you had wingers there like Sane and Sterling who do chip in with a lot of goals and offer a threat in behind. And I think some of the lesser sides who have beaten them in the last few weeks, what they've seen now is what Stu touched on. This and Savio and Doku kind of they're not living up to the bill. And I think the teams are seeing that they're not that threatening going forward, and like in terms of efficiency and output. And teams are seeing that they have a chance there. If Haaland's been shut out, I just think you can hit them easily on the counter. I think teams are realising that now, and they're not sitting back and just playing a low block for 90 minutes. I think teams are starting to go at them now, and that's what's causing them issues. Because I even think years ago, the good teams that they had, like when we beat them in the year we beat them in the Champions League final, like the team they had that year was really good. But I also thought that the backline, the likes of Ruben Diaz and that they can always be got at, even in the good teams. They could be got at if teams went at them, but teams just refuse to do that because of the threat obviously City had going forward, and they can rip you apart. But I just think now that City don't have as much of a threat, like on the wings and that going forward, the teams are just realising that they don't have to sit back against them, and they're going at that defence. I think it's been vulnerable with years, but it hasn't been fully tested until this year, really.
Yeah, I
Do
completely.
you know what, Sean? I just want to say I'm so pleased you fixed your internet because you talk so much sense. Go on.
No, absolutely. He makes a great point. Yeah, brilliant. We've got Jonathan in the chat there. Twistman handle. We've changed it on our screen, John. Change it on our screen. It's obviously not quite caught up yet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, from my point of view, obviously, I think there's got to be a little bit of the court case looming, maybe on the back of like maybe playing around on the players' minds a little bit. You would like to think that these players are professionals, and it shouldn't be playing with their minds a little bit. And also, I think maybe the fact that Guardiola signed a contract was purely just to sort of quieten the media.
Yeah,
to sort of say, oh yeah, I'm here no matter what the court case. Even though he came out and said when the court started and the whole proceeding started, if we're found guilty, then I'm gone, sort of thing. So, but I think the whole signing a 2 year, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't care about the money. He's just there he's signed that contract just to say, look, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I didn't get the England job. I'm staying here, etc. Right. Go on, Mark. Go on.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Great to see everyone in the chat tonight. Loads of you in there, which is
brilliant.
really good to see. Thank you so much. Get like and get subscribing and share it out and get back next time. And Hammer, it'd be great to see you on Sunday if you can get on. And of course, everyone else in the comments too.
Yeah, brilliant. I was just going to say the chat has been really brilliant so far this evening. So really appreciate everyone joining. Mark's on duties on keeping you guys as up to date as possible on the scores, as I can see in the banners there. He's doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, I've been slacking a minute ago, but no one wants to know about Dinamo Kiev and Real Sociedad, do they? So
well, you mentioned it now, so you might as well tell us the score.
I'll put it in. It's 1-0 to Sociedad.
There you go. Yeah, you're all very welcome. No, brilliant. I want to move on now, if we don't mind. We might as well mention them now that Sean is in here. We may as well mention Chelsea's title bid. And I'll come straight to you, Sean, actually. Was you anticipating this start this quick with Enzo Maresca?
No. Like Mark will probably tell you from being in chats, I was very confident if we got a possession-based manager this summer. Been ranting and raving all last year. I'm not Pochettino's biggest fan, and just the football. Like, it's not that he's a bad manager, but just the football he plays doesn't suit the squad that the recruitment team have built. So I think they got the managerial appointment completely wrong last year. But I just said all summer that if we can get a possession-based manager in, which Maresca is, I think the players will basically do the talking after that. Once he kind of sets them up correctly, there's a lot of quality there. So I thought that we'd do well this year. I was hoping for minimum top 4, but I just thought it might take a bit of time to come together, because obviously that football, like Pochettino's football, is very direct. It's like very fast paced. There's no slow games, and I thought just going from that to back to Maresca, I thought it may take some time. But it hasn't at all. And to be fair to Maresca, he hasn't just jumped straight into just setting his ways and playing the possession-based football that he did at Leicester last year. A lot of Leicester fans were saying he was quite stubborn and just stuck to the one style of play, but he's been fairly adaptable this year so far with Chelsea. As you can see, some games, like the Wolves game, the first big win that we had, the 6-2, just how fast and that we hit him on counter attacks. I think he's been switching it up as per the opponent in games this year. So it's a nice surprise. The one thing I was kind of worried about just his stubbornness, but he hasn't shown that at all so far. I think that's a big factor in the start that we've had. He's just been able to change it up on that. So that, and obviously, like I think you were saying in the group chat earlier, the fact that we so many players still, and we can field a different team in the Conference League, keeps the players fresh and everything. So that's a big help as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Naomi, I don't know how much of Chelsea you've seen, but you must be quite impressed with their starters just as much as everyone else. Was you expecting a little bit of a slow start from them, or did you think, again, like what Sean said, like with the way they've started, nobody really expected it? But do you think they're maybe in the title challenge, or do you think maybe it's too soon for them?
Yeah, definitely. I actually was able to catch I think their latest game earlier this week/weekend, and I enjoyed watching it. I don't watch too many of their games, but now that my boy Jaden is there, I'll be trying to, tune in every now and then. And I really thought they had a good game, and as a non-Chelsea fan, I thought it was just really fun to watch. And I walked away from the game thinking, oh, I'm definitely gonna watch another game if it's like at a time that I'm able to. And just that from a person on the outside, I thought was like my gauging my own reaction. I thought that they did pretty well. Cole Palmer is having a run. He's everyone's new favorite boy across the league, honestly speaking, and social media. So it's exciting to see that for him. And yeah, I also feel good for Jaden. He's having a good time playing, and I didn't really expect to see that, especially so soon into his time there. So it's exciting from the outside looking in for sure. And I would say that they're competitive, and I do see them challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to bring you, Stu, in straight away because your face every time Naomi mentioned the particular man, Jadon Sancho. What do you make of? I'm not completely convinced by his form at Chelsea, I'll be honest. I think he's reached a level in the Europa Conference League and he's played very well there. That sort of met his level of player as far as I'm concerned. But in the Premier League, he's not exactly lit the world on fire. But you listen to any Chelsea fan, and as Sean's face tells you, he clearly thinks that him and Cole Palmer are the two best players in the world. I want to get your thoughts on Jadon Sancho's form at Chelsea, if you don't mind.
Average at best. Look, he's an average player, isn't he, Sancho? Look, I said years ago when he was at Dortmund, it would have been a bad move for Manchester United. Got absolutely vilified for it in the comments. I can't remember what they were. Fuck all about football. You don't watch German football. Blah 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 blah. And he's just never convinced me. He is an overachieving kind of little child on occasions by his attitude, and he's everything I despise of modern day footballers. But he is attached to a long fucking list of players that don't impress me with their off field and their on field antics. Really, they're just in it for the money. They take a pay packet and away they go. Would I like to see him succeed at Chelsea because he's there on loan? Does that up our value in terms of what we can sell him? Absolutely. Go and have a great season at Chelsea. We're not playing Chelsea this year. We're not in their kind of box. We're not going to be fighting against them. They're going to be, 8 to 12 points ahead of us at any time throughout the season. So as an elastic band goes, yeah, if it snaps, it snaps. So for the Sancho thing, yeah, you can go ahead. What I kind of like about Chelsea is they're a kamikaze outfit. You can quite easily score 4 against them, but concede 6. Reminds me back in the day of Newcastle, back in the late 90s under Keegan. They're a kamikaze effect. Great to watch on occasions, but fuck me, frustrating. There were certain games where they would just fall apart and capitulate. And Chelsea have got that teetering issue where they will go out and they'll get absolutely hammered one day. Tottenham were 2-0 up in 20 minutes the other day. Instead of using the basics of football, allowed Chelsea to come in. I mean, fuck me. Somebody scores a Panenka and I'm on the pitch, I'm snapping the fucker 5 minutes later. It just doesn't happen. It's bang out of order. But there are the whole way of football at the moment, the whole softness about the game is allowing teams like Chelsea to really go out and enjoy it. really go out and enjoy it. The Newcastle team I'm talking about under Keegan was a rough and tumble old season that, Spreer was getting, kicked from pillar to post. I can't remember who was in the team, Beresford, all these players were getting absolutely battered in games, but they were also playing some good stuff. Philippe Albert, the old Belgian, popped a chip in against us, when I think they beat us 5-1. I could have killed him that day as well. So I do like what Chelsea are about. I think Maresca, I think he's got some really good attributes as a manager. I think he needs to thin the squad for sure. He needs to move a lot of players out. I think he needs to move probably 20 players out their first team squad because he is going to run into problems with injuries. Because what I've seen about Maresca is he seems to have settled on a regular starting 8. And if he has problems with those, has he got players that can come in? He's a little bit like what Guardiola's going through at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see when he gets that right hook on the chin, see if he stands or he wobbles. But in the minute, I think Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, they're the most exciting in the Premier League for sure.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sean, you look like you were about to burst in what some of what Stu said. So, by all means, if you want to challenge anything he said or you disagree with anything, by all means, please. Stu is not the sort of man to back down, and I'm sure you're not either. Go for it.
No, on the Sancho stuff, it's fair enough. It's just like opinions and stuff. That's fair. Like I think I had the same opinion in the summer before he joined us. Just didn't. I questioned the signing and didn't get it. But from what I've seen with him so far with Chelsea, I'm over the moon that we've signed him and we've got him for a bargain as well. Can't go any more than 25 million. So he's in a place where he can enjoy his football and a nice football club. So he is doing well. But the only one that I would challenge is the selling 20 players. We'd have about 13 players left if we sold 20. So I think that's just a bit of an exaggeration. But
no, I was, yeah. I think you know what I was getting at.
no, that's from the summer. And to be fair, that was probably over the summer and we got rid of a few. But I do agree that the squad is a bit too big, but it's not as bad as it was the last couple of years. We definitely do need to shift a few, though. I do agree with you there.
Like everyone, you're sitting on players on huge salaries, and it's great. This is the problem with modern day football. There's not enough players that actually want to go out and play football anymore. They go in, they get, what did Mudryk sign? 8-year contract or something like that. I know he's only on about 70, 80 grand. I know it's a small salary compared to, but the length of the contract, it just doesn't scan, does it? That, with Mudryk in particular, you're going to lose money eventually. You're not going to tip out on the profitable side with Mudryk. Unless that's all I was getting at. That's what I think is the problem. But I like Maresca.
I think I've wound Sean up so many times, Stu, that he's probably biting back. So apologies.
He doesn't get wound.
No, I know. I've had this conversation with him so many times.
I've been on a couple of it.
I think I'm a lot more.
I think like Maresca because I think he's got that. I'm not going to say unshakable personality, because nobody's unshakable, but he does have a persona that I think if you don't respect that persona in and around the club, you're going to have issues.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I think that's how football should be.
Yeah. In my opinion. A few players have actually said it this year so far. And when they've done like stuff with Sky Sports and that, just the fact that when they walk into a room with him, they can feel his presence. Kind of, it's just not even in a way of that you're afraid of him all the time, but he can kind of be open to you in that. But yeah, no, absolutely. And the whole Mudryk thing you're talking about there, like I agree with that. Like I think it gets to a certain point with players, like he's with us, a year and a half now. I think you kind of get to the point now where if you're going to lose money on the player or not. And it's just like some of them, like the likes of, Enzo's expensive, but there's other players that we brought in there, slightly cheaper than Mudryk maybe, where they might not be doing that well, but you might make your money back on them. But Mudryk's just one of those ones that you think you're eventually going to lose money.
Yeah, last podcast we were on, I was critical of Nicholas Jackson, if you remember.
Yeah, because that was the last. Actually, I bit that time now, to be fair. That was, I think, United and Chelsea, when I wanted to put him in the combined 11.
Yes, and I said no. Yeah. He's put his essence, hasn't he? And he's turned into a different type of player.
Yeah. No, in fairness, I think there was 3 of you that time. It wasn't just you. There was 3.
No, there was a couple of it, yeah.
Yeah. So, the thing with Jackson is, like, I've always seen it with him. He's like I've thought he is a good player, but he obviously lacked that composure last year, and for some reason it's just come this year.
Yeah.
He's finally,
Age. He's a year older.
yeah, still silly, still gets his silly yellow cards and stuff, but
No,
yeah.
brilliant. No, I want to bring you straight in, Mark, if you don't mind. I've got a player that I'm really enjoying watching in a minute, and Stu mentioned him earlier. The absolute ballsiness of him at the weekend against Spurs. Cole Palmer, just an absolute. I like to think of him as a genius on the ball at the minute. Considering he's still young in his playing career, and his just attitude towards the way he plays football, as much as it pains all of us to say, I'm sure, but as an England fan as well, I know there's a lot of people, like United fans, that hate England, like setup and all that sort of thing. But as an England fan as well, I like watching Cole Palmer play, and I just think he's brilliant. Is he close in your mind to being the best player in the league at the moment, or is that
Yeah,
a bit
well,
of a stretch too far at the minute?
no, without a doubt. I think
Close.
there was a stat that came out a few weeks ago to suggest he had one more goal assist than Haaland over the last whatever games it was, and I think that's clear in everything that he plays. He's very much the heartbeat. Very good player. United fan, so that's always nice. And I think he's a terrific player. I think to be honest with you, we all looked at that 2 summers ago, 40 million, a lot of money. City, we City don't tend to sell, and we always sort of think, well, why are they selling? But he's turned out to be an absolute bargain, and I think anyone would be foolish not to say they'd absolutely snatch your hand off if he was offered out. I think he's been absolutely fantastic, really good. I think even at the weekend, I think in the first half it was. I think Sean will agree with me. It was quite sort of a bit end to end, sort of quite cagey from both teams, and a lot of mistakes happening. I thought Chelsea came back really well, did very well, but I think Palmer was very instrumental in that. And I think he, once if you get him on song, the rest of the team just kind of follows. And he's a terrific player. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sean, did you want to come in there, or are you good?
No, I agree with you, and just the other thing, like you said at the end there, I do agree. Like I know, like Sancho and Neto and that, like they got a lot of plaudits the weekend and that, but I think it's like if you have Palmer in your team and he's on it, he just raises the level and he kind of eases it for the other players. So, like Jackson had an off day on Saturday, done his work and everything, but like throughout the year, if he ever had an off day, Palmer's always there, and like the stick isn't there as much this year from the media, even when he does have an off day. Like so we're picking up wins, and I think that's what keeps the media off the team's back, is just winning football games. So
I tell you who's gone under the radar though. Enzo Fernandez.
oh yeah,
Flown under the radar, and he's been the last few games in particular. I've seen him real solid performer.
yeah,
I can almost see what you spent 100 million quid on.
yeah.
Yeah, he's really had a change this season, hasn't he? Very, very good.
Yeah, no, Mark will tell you, like I was always like, obviously when you get a big money signing in and it's exciting, I defend him to the last. And I think a few games into the season, I was finally starting to kind of sway and start giving up on him a bit.
Dividends for you really now, isn't it?
Yeah, and then he just turns around and does that the last few games. So my hopes back up to the roof again. So
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely. Before we move on to my next point, we're going to talk. We were going to go on to Liverpool next, but Naomi, before we move on completely, I want to just quickly branch back to City. Obviously, as United fans, we've got them at the weekend, and obviously after the performance we've just had in the Europa League just then, managing to snatch a 2-1 win away from home, obviously a good result in the end. What sort of performance are you expecting on Sunday for United against Man City? I believe it's at the Etihad. Am I right? Am I away or away from home?
Yeah, we're away.
Yeah, so we're away. So what sort of team do you expect? What sort of character do you think to expect to turn up on Sunday against City?
Yeah, I talk a lot about how like Manchester United is the current team is a pretty uh emotional team, or like motivated by emotion. So I hope for once that we're able to kind of use that to our advantage coming off of from a win. And the commentators are saying the honeymoon phase is over for us, but I don't really think the honeymoon phase is over. I think it's just started. So I definitely hope that we can utilize this positive energies and really go in for a win. They're having not such a great time. A win against United would be great for them, especially since they lost the cup to us and all of that. But for us, I hope we really are able to really turn up, and we do that sometimes in rival games and derbies. So I definitely hope we are able to do that. Um, and also with our starting 11, I hope that we're really tactical about it. There are some folks that I'm hoping to see on the pitch. I think Delict and Mazraoui have just been really fabulous over the last few games, so I hope to see more of them, and really get in there with a strong starting 11, and kind of have some solid tactics sorted, because we look better at the moment. We look stronger. Um, and yeah, I think if we really utilize the different things, like the positivity around the club, even it can go a long way for us.
Yeah, absolutely. While I've got you, Naomi, obviously we saw United tonight. Obviously, Onana at the weekend was pretty poor, letting some real silly goals, in my opinion. And then again tonight, the mistake from him causing their goal. Would you drop him, or is this just a case of it's a blip in his form? Do we just let him play it through? Because he's done pretty well for us. There's no doubt about that. He's been pretty solid at the back. But just on maybe last two games, maybe there's a bit of fatigue coming in. Do you think that's the case, or what do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't drop like the starting goalkeeper again in a derby game. That's just a lot to do that. So that's why I wouldn't really, if you wanted to like punish him, or kind of give someone else a chance, there's probably other games to do it. It's probably just not this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Stu, any thoughts on that? Obviously, going into the derby this weekend, would you make any drastic changes as well, or are you pretty much same sort of starting 11 as we had tonight? Or
No,
maybe
I'd change.
the team that ended the game more like, I suppose.
I'd change the system. I don't think 3-4-3 balances this enough.
Mm-hmm.
Be much better balance with a 3-5-2, and that's based on. He's right. So Johnny Silver.
He is right. We should do
Right.
a bingo card for you, Stu.
What is on the
Poses,
bingo card?
modern day football, and there's probably a few others as well.
Yeah, I wonder what's on the bingo card. Yeah.
Well, we're 38 minutes in, and he hasn't mentioned a certain team yet, so we'll keep going for now.
Right. Okay. Where was I? Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we're balanced enough on a 3-4-3. Actually, I know that he's played that, but we don't play anywhere near the way that Sporting played in our possession, our transition, our speed. We're very lethargic. We play with a lot of dead area in football by passing it between Delict and Martinez across to Mazzari back to Delict. It's just dead air. It's just dead football. It's great for the opposition because they can have a breather, tie their bootlaces up and relax. The other issue you've got with a 3-4-3 is you're playing Bruno slightly out of position. Now people say, well, he always plays an 8, but in a 3-4-3, your two midfielders are almost 6s. They're not 8s. They've got to work in unison, work in partnership, and it hasn't necessarily worked out for us. Whereas I think if we play a 3-5-2, there's been much better balance by bringing in Yoro to play alongside Martinez. Although Martinez is he's suspended, isn't he, for Sunday? I'm guessing. Is that his booking, Mark? Is he suspended this Sunday? Can you check? Can you check on that?
I'll double check. I'm pretty sure he's still in, isn't he?
Let's go to VAR. Mark's checking that.
Yeah, I can't remember when
Mhm.
his suspension kicked in. Yeah, I can't remember if he was sent off in Europe or in.
No, I think he's available this weekend. I'll double check. Yeah.
So I'd like to see Martinez, Yoro actually in the middle, and then Delict to the right, and then that would give you two wing backs of Malacia and Matsari for me. Zirkzee and Hoyland up top, and that would give you a treble of Agate, Bruno, and Mount. Now people will say, "Oh, fucking hell, Ahmad, don't put Ahmad in." Blah blah blah. Sometimes you've got to sacrifice certain players to get the best balance.
Yeah.
And I think that's our strongest 11. But look, you could argue you take Zirkzee out and put Rashford in, take Zirkzee out and put Ahmad in. You could argue that fact. But the best thing about a two up top is it can split the two centre backs. We don't occupy the centre halves enough. It's very difficult when you're playing as a singular up there and you're up against two centre backs. Diaz, for example, and Hoyland, they'll be scrapping all game. So if you could split the centre halves, the idea then is to allow space for Bruno and Mount. If they play, then you've got Agate holding and your two wing backs of Matsari and Malacia pushing quite high. But if you do get transition, you've got 4 at the back, so to speak, with Agate in there to kind of help shore up the defence. So it's a much more fluid system, playing 5 in the middle. It gives you a much better balance, and we've got the players that we've got will be better in those positions than the 3-4-3. But as I say, the arguments you'll get are no Ganacho, no Ahmed potentially. We're better with the wingers, but are we better with the wingers? I don't think we are. I don't think we penetrate enough down the wings. We certainly don't attack the diagonal. That's on the bingo card, John. Attack the diagonal. On the bingo card. We don't attack them enough. And when we do, we're hesitant. So we don't back the defender up enough. We don't allow the defender to backtrack. As soon as you've got a defender backtracking, you've got him absolutely in your pocket. We don't do that enough. So I don't think the wing system is working us. The 2 wide players are working for us. And Højlund actually demonstrated tonight that he can, when he wants to, play as a good, solid 9. And if he's got a partner up there with him, I think you'll see a different type of attacking. So that's what I would do, and that would be the team I would start on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, on the back of that, actually, obviously, like Stu said there, attacking the diagonals and sort of putting the defence on the sort of back foot there, that seems to be our biggest problem at the minute, and that sort of style. And is, like Stu said as well, it's a case of Højlund has sort of got into a rhythm tonight. I'm assuming that we're all agreed that he'll probably start again on Sunday instead of Xerxes, because I don't know about everyone else, but Xerxes for me hasn't really done anything. I don't know about you, Naomi.
Yeah, I'm really glad I followed Stu because I had some stuff to say to that. But I thought that the fact that you started like Hoyland, Xerxes, and Mount was pretty brilliant. With most of our newer players, which both Mason Mount would be in that category too, even though he's been around for over a year, he just hasn't had enough time on the pitch. But I thought something that I've been saying is we need to figure out what their strongest points are and utilize them. And that's on whether that's the coaches or the club, like we have to be able to do that. So I was really excited to uh, have them start in your lineup. But yeah, I think one of our biggest shortcomings at United has been like tracking back and doing all these football things that traditionally you're supposed to do, and like playing off without the ball and stuff like that. Those have been our weakest points for the couple of years that I've been following it closely. So definitely hope to see more of that. And then one other thing I wanted to mention was also um, when Amorim came to the club, something that was really being widely discussed in the media, within the fan club, within the fan community, was the 3-4-3 setup. And I feel like as a club, we've been pretty stubborn and rigid to not explore outside the box, or if something is not working for us, to try something else. And maybe it won't work now, maybe it won't work the next game, but by the third game, you can pull it off. And honestly, I think ultimately that's what cost Ten Hag his job. Just being really stubborn, whether that's with like substitutions, players, form. So with this new era, I definitely hope to see, these kinds of things more and more. And yes, too. It's always great to hear your tactics.
I mean, Zerkski won't
Don't
start.
don't tell him that. Don't tell him
big his
that.
ears up anymore.
Don't blow
won't do
smoke
that,
up his
no.
arse. Fucking hell, we're near the end of it.
He's got a big lad. He won't do that, Naomi. But I would like to see him do that because you've got to just try something different. But actually, somebody made a really good point about Yoro at the weekend. He found it quite difficult physically, and I thought that was really quite interesting. I looked at it again, and I think he kind of struggled on occasions with the physicality of the Premier League. But when you're at Manchester United, here's one for the bingo card: the elite club, the best club in the world. But anyone can have that on the bingo card. You've got to step up. So when the gaffer's talking to you and he's asking you to step up, you've got to fucking step up in that. Nathan, you're right, but actually Zerkski did some really good work tonight. His ball, not his ball retention. Okay, let's be clear about that. But his attributes with the ball at his feet. If you actually watched him, yes, he got dispossessed, so I get it. and you are judged on your ball retention rather than losing the ball. His actual attributes with his feet and the ball at his feet are quite high. He is very, very similar to a languid Berbatov in that he plays, but he wasn't getting the space. They were closing him down quite quickly when he had the ball. So I'd like to see him play further up as a two, as part of a two. And then you can bearing in mind you can really push the defence back as well. So that's why I want to see a two. But I don't think, Naomi, unfortunately, Xerxes will start. But that's what I would
I
do.
don't think they'll start him either. It'll be fun when they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't
Has anyone
agree
got a full house yet, Big Z? Or?
Unfortunately, it was done quite late, and I haven't got a full bingo card, Stu. But I will create one for next time. And,
I think we'll do a
and
Christmas special of trying to
I
get
think we
Stu
need to do it. Yeah,
Maybe
I
we'll
think
do it and not tell you we're doing it, and we'll just
Yes.
see. It'll be
yeah,
a fun old.
bingo. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
good.
I think
I've been busy doing all the scores updates for you.
No,
So
you've
I ain't
been
got time for that.
you've been brilliant
Don't
on the
think they can
comments
commit
as
to
well,
prize.
Mark, and you've done brilliantly keeping us up to date. I'm assuming the Rangers Spurs game is still 0-0. I'm assuming it's that sort of situation.
Not seen anything come up yet. So for scores, I said to Sean, it's been saving my skin tonight, and nothing for Spurs Celtic. Spurs Celtic, yeah.
Rangers.
What's
Rangers.
happening in the Conference League?
Shamrock Rovers winning 1-0.
Isn't it that league?
nice.
Is that below us?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's trying to wind you up here, Sean. I think
I would never do that. I mean, officially, it's funny, really, because officially we actually finished sixth last season.
I know, FA Cup win.
It's old for the FA Cup. He got 10 games with Ten Hag. He got to stay after the FA Cup, and
I'm rightly so.
I know it's not looking good for United at the moment and the way they're playing, but I still fancy to win that Europa League. Because I said it before you won the FA Cup. What broke my heart was I was looking at who was in the Europa League, and I actually thought it was a fairly decent ticket into the Champions League for next year, because I don't think the quality was that high. Like when I was looking at, obviously, just teams going to come through this year that weren't good last year, but like if Spurs are going to be one of the main teams in it, I think you should be looking at winning that, because as good as they can be on their day, I just think that they'll bottle in that competition, like any knockout competition. So I do fancy, like, United mightn't have a good year this year in the league, but you can still get Champions League football next year. I think it's a funny old game.
We've got a chance. I'd agree with that, actually.
No, very good indeed. I want to very quickly, we were going to do something on unsackable managers, but I think we'll save that till next week, because I think it would be a bit remiss of us all to not talk about Liverpool, considering they are leading the race at the minute. So we'll park the unsackable managers thing for next week for sure. But Mark, I'm going to come to you, mate, because obviously I know you're updating scores and stuff, and I want to throw something at you instead, because I think it's more fun to see you.
I can do it all, mate.
You can multitask. You're the man of the people.
Anyone can update 0-0, Nate. Come on.
Yeah, but as a man, where we can't multitask, you know what I mean?
I'm rubbish.
No, absolutely. No, it would be remiss of us not to mention, for me, I don't know about you, Mark, but I think Jurgen Klopp left him with a pretty not substandard squad, but it wasn't what it could have been. I don't know how you feel. I know they've had 3 sort of contract negotiations going on at the same time. You've got Mo Salah still not signing anything. Trent looks like he's getting more and more interest from Real Madrid. Yeah. And Virgil van Dijk, not really any news on that. But you must be impressed about the start that they've had, especially I think everyone was thinking they were going to fall off a cliff.
I think there's a couple of things to this. Firstly, it's very difficult for me to talk highly of Liverpool, but there's no doubt that they've done very well. So to your first point about the summer, I think it's very, very clear, particularly to a couple of Liverpool fans that I talk to, that they're not happy with FSG and they don't like to spend the money. Now, they are in a good position at the moment where they've still got Trent, they've still got Salah, they've still got Van Dijk, but I think you'll find probably over the next 1 to 2 years, all 3 of those players will either have gone or be close to dropping form and really sort of losing their ability, I would say. And I think it's going to come and hit them very hard. And I think you'll probably see in a couple of seasons, that will have a knock-on effect. The frustration for me as a United fan is I don't think Liverpool have actually been that good. They've scraped results, and sometimes that's what it's all about. But really, there's been a lot of opportunities where teams, Southampton, Forest obviously beat them, and a couple of others where they've literally, and Newcastle the other week, they've had them to the wire, and some of them have seen it out for a point, but they haven't got much more than that, and that's frustrating because I think that this has given a full sense of security for Liverpool fans. Look, we look back to Ten Hag. He came in, he didn't play his style of football, and he was sensational that season, let's be honest. And this was off the back of a disgusting, awful 6 months of Ralph and obviously the end of the Ollie tenure. And I think that, second season syndrome, I like to call it. It's more hopeful for me with Liverpool, but I really feel that the next season, I think you'll start to see some cracks. It will be a tougher year for them, that kind of cycle, and then he'll get a few signings maybe this summer, next summer, and then sort of start the revolution again. They'll always be there or thereabouts. They've had a fantastic start for sure, and I think unfortunately it's certainly their title to lose already.
Yeah, going off the back of that, Naomi, you must be impressed with the way they've struggled through and got results, considering there has been a little bit of talk in the background in the changing rooms and the dressing rooms about who's staying, who's going. But to grind out results, like Mark said, it's a caliber of a great team to win a league and not play brilliantly all season.
Yeah, honestly, I even forgot about their whole letting their manager go drama. That feels like a whole lifetime ago. But you gotta give kudos where you have to, and yeah, I mean, I think they're doing pretty well. It is annoying to see them that high in the league, especially considering where we are. But yeah, they're definitely, um, you know, they look strong.
No, brilliant, absolutely. And yeah, it is difficult for all of us to mention. Sean, mate, also, as we were talking about Chelsea earlier, do you consider Liverpool to be the title favourites at the minute, considering how they've not been playing brilliantly, but they've managed to get the results? Are they your main title challengers at the moment, do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're definitely the favourites for it. I still don't rule Arsenal out, to be honest. I don't think we're going to win anything. Well, cup competitions in white this year, but the league, I think, is just out of our reach because of the goalkeeper issues and that, and maybe a bit of inexperience. But Liverpool have got themselves in a position where you can't not call them the favourites. The thing about Liverpool, I think, this year that's different from other years as well is I think they could last the pace because under Klopp, the football was like non-stop pressing, running. Players were getting injured from that. Squad wasn't that big, but I find this year now so far under Klopp, they're getting ahead in games, and then it looks like they're not even going up gears. They're better at controlling and kind of. I don't think there's as much running, as many injuries going to come to them this year because of that. Just the way they play football. So I think that's another thing that'll help them last the season. But yeah, look, you can't really look past them. Like I said, though, Arsenal I think are still there and thereabouts. I know they haven't been great at all this year, but one thing Stu mentioned earlier about Chelsea is that we leak goals. Arsenal don't leak many. And that is a big factor. I think if you're going for a league title over a 38 game season, they can be poor enough up top. I don't think they actually are great. They depend a lot on Saka and Odegaard up top. But if you can limit games to a clean sheet or one goal a game, it's the games that they're for the taking. Like I think they'll pick up points. Liverpool do have a tough run coming up as well. That's the other thing. They had a relatively easy start compared to some teams. So I just think they're going to have their run now in the next 10 to 15 games where they have a lot of tough games coming up, and Arsenal have a fairly decent run until January from what I've seen.
Mm. Yeah, Stu, come straight to you, mate. Obviously, Salah's been considering the contract negotiations in the background with Mo Salah. He's still been quite a revelation. He's still been a really good footballer this year.
Yeah, let me tell you something about the interesting thing about this. They showed last year what a basket case of a club they are with the old Jurgen Klopp, I'm leaving at the end of the season, blah, 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 tears and all this kind of nonsense. So we made it all about him. And then, whether you like it or not as a player, it's all about every time you get an interview, what you're going to do with the gaffer, blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested in the gaffer. I'm interested in, football. What I'm going to tell you now is something exceptionally strange and stupid, but true.
Careful.
Yeah, but true. Liverpool are actually demonstrating a team of or a group of players that can play without a manager to an extent. Because Arne Slot, I defy anyone to tell me that he's come in and done anything different. He's probably gone in there, watched them train, watched them in practice matches, realised that he's got to do F all, realised that he really hasn't got to let these players know what to do during matches because they work off a lot of muscle memory. And he's like putting his feet up, probably lying on a sunbed most of the time during the week because he doesn't need to do anything to really prepare these players.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything definitive in the transfer window in the summer. A lot of their fans were up in arms over it. But actually, it's paid dividends for them because what they haven't done is disrupt the team, disrupt the first team squad to, really hardly anything. I know they brought in Chiesa, but he was playing the under-21s, wasn't he, or under-23s. He's been injured. He can't get into the side. So there are the very, very tiny occasions where a team can function without a manager because, like I say, they know what they're doing. They know positionally where X, Y, and Z is going to be. They know that Trent Alexander can't defend, but he can cross. So they know if they get one, as Sean says, one or two goals up, they're likely to see that match through. And it's quite unique, really. As I say, it's probably would only happen once or twice, in a lifetime that a team is set up specifically that they don't necessarily need somebody. Honestly, slots at Christmases have all come at once. What will happen? And Mark's absolutely right. And I think Xabi Alonso, the Messiah that was last year where is he? I can't remember.
Leverkusen.
Yeah, I was going to say Leipzig for some reason, but Leverkusen. He's finding it difficult to mimic and replicate what they did last season. And I think Slot will have that issue because at those three, one or maybe two will be leaving. But just say one, for example, and just take one player out of that. It can really disrupt a team, with their fluidity. So I thought the goalkeeper might be an issue, putting Keller in over Alisson. Let's be honest, that didn't appear to be the issue. So going back to Chelsea, their problem is a goalkeeper, and I think any Chelsea fan will admit to that. And our problem is our goalkeeper. Not so much for Arsenal. So I think Sean's right. I think Arsenal will battle it out with Liverpool. I think Sean's right. I don't think Chelsea can win it this season, but I think they can finish third. But a bit of distance, a bit of daylight between yourselves and Arsenal. Because I think it will be interesting when you go to. Have you got to go to the Emirates yet, Sean? Have you been?
Yeah, we have to go to the Emirates. Yeah,
Or have you been?
Sorry, what was that one, Stu?
Or go to Anfield, or have you been?
We've been. They beat us 2-1. We've been there.
Yeah. So those will be quite pivotal games for you. So really, your season will probably, stupid as it sounds, probably hinge on your results against Arsenal and Liverpool, and maybe City, and maybe Villa. Maybe those clubs will be where your hinge on. And so, look, you've got to hand it to Liverpool. I'm afraid you've got to hand it to a group of players. They've just got on with it. And not really had any disruption, and there's a lot to be said about it.
I'm laughing. Stu named out about 5 teams there, and he didn't name out the one club that we never beat.
Oh, who's that? Sorry,
United.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just to be
I know.
Yeah, to be honest, Sean, I just don't think we're quite there. But Mark made a really good point. Oh no, it was you actually. You made a really good point. If we can hang in there somewhere, so we're only maybe 6 to maybe 7 points away from the top 4. We do have some kind of January, and we maybe have a fortunate run of maybe 8 games. We're going to play ourselves back into some kind of contention. So yeah, you did make that point, and it's worth noting. But I just don't think right now we're kind of we're not there to be. You shouldn't worry about us.
Yeah. No, don't think to kind of let me down. When Amarim came in first, I feared United more than some of the other clubs in and around there. The likes of Villa, and that, I think they'll drop off. I actually thought United can put a run together Still think you can do. It can just take one game, I suppose, just for one thing to happen, and it could flip everything in the moment. But
maybe tonight's result and the
It's
weekend, maybe,
balance.
who knows?
Sean, it's balance for us,
yeah,
mate. One of the things I've noticed about you guys in particular, and people can say what they like about Cucurella, he's a very strange player. Let's be honest. It's not even his hair. It's just that sometimes he'll be absolutely unplayable, and sometimes you can pick his pocket like that. He's a very strange player, but yet he fits into the Maresca system really well. Fernandez fits into the system really well. Nicholas Jackson's got a new lease of life. Sterling, they shipped him out to Arsenal, and he can't even get a sniff there, can he? Because of somebody that you guys were laughing at a couple of seasons ago, Kai Havertz, who fits into that particular Arsenal team well, and that's where we're not fluid enough. We don't have that. We don't have players that fit the systems well enough. Ways you guys slowly but surely do. And I'm not saying Maresca's fumbled on it, because I don't think he has. I think he's a bit smarter than that. But he found something not quickly. It's taken him time, hasn't it? How long's he been with you now? It's taken him a while.
Yeah. I think a big thing that I don't know if many people know it is, I actually only found out maybe a month ago, in pre-season, like, I think a lot of people were kind of laughing. I remember Celtic beat us 4-1, but it was after the Real Madrid game when they beat us 2-1. Angelotti actually pulled Maresca after the game. They're friends, obviously, both of them are Italian, and told him, like, drop your backline 10 yards and you'll do really well this year. And Maresca said he took that on board. Like, but that actually could be a big factor in how, because obviously we looked a bit kind of open, I suppose, in pre-season with how high the line was and people getting behind. But that, like, it's small things like that could make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, someone like Angelotti, but yeah. No, I do agree. I think it'll take a little bit of time maybe to get all the players kind of fitting into the system and knowing who Amorim wants to keep there in the summer and that. But I do think you have the players there to make a push for top 4, top 5. Fifth is going to get Champions League this year. When you're looking at the coefficients,
it is, isn't it? It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're at 97.5%, and it's like they're ahead by a good 5%. So it's looking like it definitely will. So there's no reason why I don't think United can't push for it. I think the quality is definitely there, and like Amorim is a good coach. So I think that it's definitely still a possibility. It's early days in the season, and there's not that many points in between. I think we're 12 ahead, but we're in third. City are behind. Oh, we're in second. Like City are.
You could be 7 if Liverpool win their game in hand. If they win their game in hand, you'd effectively be 7 points off.
Yeah,
and I think Arsenal are about 4 off you. Is it 3?
Arsenal are 2. City are 4. So City are in 4th. City are in 4th. 8 points ahead of you. Like, it's not, with how they're playing at the moment and how teams can get at them, like, it's not a massive gap. It's not as big as like people think, basically.
No, brilliant stuff. We're going to start closing up a little bit, but I think it would only be fair that we do a little bit of a score prediction and maybe a goal scorer prediction for the games at the weekend. So let's go straight to you, Mark, mate. We've got City at the weekend. I want a score prediction from you and maybe a goal scorer if you don't mind.
6-0 to City. I'm going to say, you know what? I think it'll be closer than what people are probably thinking. I think it'll be 2-1 City, to be honest with you. And our goal scorer, maybe Ahmad again. I think he's been playing terrifically, and I just think he's in a good run of form, and I think the easiest choice for me.
Brilliant. Naomi, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm always betting for my team, never against, but probably 2-1 United. My goal scorers are Højlund and Rashi. Maybe a Casemiro assist in there, but
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on, Shu.
I wonder what the odds are on there. Sean, you'll have to find out.
Go on, Sean. While we're talking.
Sorry, Sean. I don't say you're a gambler, but you know.
Honestly,
so we want a bet builder of over 2.5 goals. Casemiro assist.
The stuff that Sean wins in that chat is sickening. He is always winning stuff, and he's a good man. But we are not condoning that, by the way.
No, please gamble.
It's small time, so yeah, small stakes and that. But I suppose my brain just takes in a lot of football and that, so like stats and that, like I'll just follow all that. So yeah, in terms of the game of the weekend, I said it during the week. I actually fancy United to beat City. I said the next 3 games that you had, I think you're going to lose 2 and you're going to beat City. I thought you'd lose to Forest and lose to Bournemouth. So I'm going to go 2-1 United. Rashford and Highland score.
If he plays 3-5-2, my system plays my 11, we beat City 3-0.
Very nice.
But he'll play a 3-4-3, so I still think we'll beat City, but I don't think City score. I think we beat them 2-0. I think Hoyland gets a brace.
Ooh, big news there. Rangers won.
He'll be in big trouble if he loses that.
Yeah, he wasn't definitely.
I don't understand how he's not in bigger trouble, to be honest. But
I'm not on the train of Ange Postecoglou is a great manager, to be honest. There's such a fan hype around that man. It's unbelievable. Yeah, my prediction for the weekend is a narrow United win. I'm going to say 1-0 with a Fernandes penalty or something like that. And just to condone, please gamble aware.org and please gamble responsibly at 18+. No, we're going to wrap up there, guys. We've done.
If Chelsea got.
Go on. Oh, Chelsea got Brentford. Go on, Sean. Do you want to do a little?
Are you away or are you at home?
At home, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bad record against them the last few years, but I think we'll do it this year. I'm going to say 2-0 Chelsea. Palmer, Jackson.
Yeah, they're decent at home.
1-0 Brentford. Sancho own goal.
Brentford are good at home. They're terrible away, aren't they?
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Unfortunately, I'll have to go with you. I think it'll be 4-0.
Yeah, I think they'll win comfortably. Brentford are a weird team, aren't they? I do like how they play their football. Yeah, I think I was about to say exactly that. I think they play some very good football. At home, great. Away, pretty shit, and you really don't know what you're going to get. But yeah, I think Chelsea 3-0 this weekend. 3-1 maybe.
Naomi, what do you reckon?
My prediction is 3-1 for Chelsea. I see Palmer scoring another one. He's just on a roll, and I'll be tuning in to watch it. Honestly, they've been having a good time on the field, so they're a fun club to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Brentford 1, Chelsea 0, Sancho own goal. I'm sorry, Evan, but we're running out of time now, mate. So we'll have to put it down for maybe
what praise
a show never. So there we go. I'm sorry about that, Evan. Maybe next time. No, guys, brilliant work as always. Been absolutely fantastic. Mark, Naomi, Stu, Sean, absolutely brilliant. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. Please get liking and subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your parents, whoever you want to tell everyone.
Tell your pets.
Yeah, tell your pets. Yeah. We've got a show Sunday night. We've got a Red Devils roundup Sunday evening. Obviously, we'll be reacting a little bit to the City game and then whatever other news has come out this week surrounding United. And then Monday is the return of the future of football. No round of applause. Fair enough.
Hang on.
Go on.
Is it working?
Applause out there.
There you go. Yeah.
It's so fun. This is. I love it.
Future of football back next.
What's the subject?
So we're going to be talking about the way technology has changed football. So we're going to talk semi-automated offsides, VAR, the way we watch football, how it's going to look in the future. It's going to be real fun. I've not really written like a proper show. We're just going to throw stuff out and we're just going to have fun with it.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's going to be really good. And we're going to get Stu's show sorted eventually. We're going to do a show on how football helps the mind and the mental health around in the game.
Oh, lovely.
Absolutely. So we're going to get that sorted. So, we've got a lot of shows coming up until Christmas, and then we're going to be barrel rolling you throughout 2025, and we're really looking forward to it. So, thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see you again soon.